Hey everybody, this is Britney here with Surfing Waves of Light, and today I am going to be sharing with you a dream and some transmissions I have about that dream. Typically on this channel, I close my eyes and bring through a transmission from the guides, but what they have asked me to do is to take their transmissions plus experiences and dreams that I'm having and put it all into one more concise, clear expression. And so that's what I'm experimenting with today. I took my dream and the download I had after it and I made it into an article that I posted on Substack. And so I'm going to be reading that article to you today. So I hope you enjoy it. Know that this is the most complete way for me to show you how the guides work in my life, how the messages come through, because it's usually not just the message. It's always an experience and the message and a dream. It all ties together to become so much more complete. So hope you like it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and here we go. All right, this article is titled The Elevator Dream, Icy Dimensions and Light Codes. Life is out of our control for our highest good. And there's some great pictures on Substack if you want to check those out. All right, here we go. Last night, I dreamed I was inside a mansion. Not a modern house with clean lines and predictable layouts, but one of those old, sprawling mansions where rooms exist in unexpected places. Different levels, hallways that don't quite make sense, doors leading somewhere you didn't expect. The kind of place that feels alive, layered with history, memory, and movement. At some point, I stepped into an elevator, and it began to fall. Not quickly, not violently at first, just falling and falling and falling. I remember bracing my body, preparing myself for the moment of impact. I was waiting for the exact second I'd need to jump so I wouldn't get hurt when it finally hit the ground. When I woke up, the dream stayed with me. I'm a prophetic dreamer, and dreams are one of the primary ways information comes through for me. But this was the first time I'd ever had an elevator dream like that. One with such a clear, visceral sense of life being out of my control. There was no steering, no slowing it down, just gravity, momentum, trust, or fear. As I reflected on it this morning, the symbolism began to unfold. For the past week, New Jersey has been below freezing. While that's not unheard of, it hasn't been the norm for our recent winters. And interestingly, I've been genuinely excited about winter this year. I love the quiet, the rest, the spaciousness, the way cold weather invites stillness and creation. Fewer visitors, less pressure to constantly be out and about. But something unexpected has been happening. I've been sick, and the very things I usually rely on to heal, sunlight, walks, the beach, being outside, haven't been filling me up. They've been exhausting me. The cold has made them inaccessible, or at least ineffective in the way that they usually are in my healing. That loss of access has stirred something deeper. For the past 7 years, I've made healing my job. I've prioritized alternative medicine, using Western medicine only when absolutely necessary. And in that time, I haven't needed to see a doctor for a cold, a cough, or a UTI, or anything like that. I've learned how to treat myself at home, how to listen, how to recover, and how to remain productive. At the same time, my life has undergone a massive shift. Before this chapter, I was deeply physical. I was a lifeguard, an emergency nurse. I worked out constantly. I played in the ocean. My body was an instrument in a very tangible, outward way. The past few years, though, have been different. They've been about stillness, listening, feeling into my body's sensitivity, exploring non-physical realms, developing a relationship with subtle energy, intuition, and consciousness itself. I've opened myself to a level of sensitivity that requires a much more deliberate and conscious way of living. So to have a dream about bracing for disaster, about preparing for impact, felt significant. When I asked my guides about it, the response surprised me. They said that right now, we're in a transition from an unloving consciousness to a loving consciousness, that we've just moved through a powerful geomagnetic storm, and what I've been shown as an influx of light codes physically entering the planet, initiating these upgrades. And with that context, they told me something important. I can assume that this coldness, the storms, the ice, the freezing temperatures are part of how these light codes are integrating. The universe, in its intelligence, determined that dropping the temperature below freezing for an entire week was the most effective way to facilitate what's needed right now. That doesn't mean it's comfortable, but it does mean it's purposeful. We live in a world that rarely allows time for pause, space, or reflection, especially if you work a normal job. Most of us are expected to be up and moving no matter what, and because of that, it often takes extreme circumstances to actually stop us in our tracks. That happened briefly on Monday here in New Jersey. Snow, ice, unsafe roads. And yet, even with temperatures still below freezing, people are already back at it. These geomagnetic storms don't just move through the sky. They facilitate events, weather, disruptions, circumstances that interrupt momentum long enough to recalibrate us toward our highest good. The message of the dream wasn't that I needed to brace for impact. It was that there is no impact to brace for. This falling, the loss of control, the disruption of familiar supports, is simply the script that consciousness itself has chosen as the most efficient path forward. Better things are coming. And then there was another layer. Ice. When it's below freezing for days, ice becomes immovable. If you didn't shovel immediately, if rain froze before you could intervene, there's very little you can do. You can salt it, you can chip at it, but fundamentally, it is what it is. And I was shown this metaphor. Living in an icy world is what it's like to live consciously within an unconscious society. It requires presence with every single step. All it takes is one moment of distraction, one lapse in awareness, and you slip. That is the dimensional equivalency of the energies we're navigating right now. We are being asked to be conscious, not performative, not perfect, just present. Because it's through consciousness that joy becomes accessible, not the absence of challenge, but the ability to move through challenge smoothly, intentionally, and without necessary suffering. We are moving toward love, which means dense energies, pain, fear, harshness. They aren't here to linger. They're here to be transmuted. Think of this consciousness revolution like walking on ice. Slow down, feel each step, and stay present. And I'll leave you with this. When I was a kid, there was a snowy, icy day. I walked 2 houses over to my neighbor Sam's house. I made it all the way down my driveway, which had an incline, across the sidewalk, and up her driveway and onto her steps. And it was only on the very last step that I fell. I cut my knee open, not because the path was unsafe, but because I had stopped paying attention. I thought I had already arrived. We're close, but closeness doesn't mean we stop being conscious. The invitation right now isn't to brace for impact. It's to stay awake as we walk forward, one careful, intentional step at a time. All right, so that is the article I wrote about, with the help of ChatGPT, I should say, about the energy transmissions and downloads I've been getting today. I do have to say, too, as I was reading that, I got one more message, and it's funny because I still have that scar on my knee. It's just a straight up and down scar from when I was a kid, and I just had this, like, oneness moment of that I fell and cut my knee because I was meant to bring through this transmission. And that's how non-linear and aligned life is. That even these things that we think are bad that happen to us, everything is a metaphor. Everything is an opportunity for this awakening. And so, yeah, it's just pretty cool that as I'm reading it, even more messages are coming through. So as you navigate the ice, the cold, the snow, if you're in New Jersey or wherever you are, we're still set to have some pretty cold temperatures. But we're going above freezing in a couple days, so that's exciting. Just take your time. Know that everything's changing. So the more you can feel into each moment. I know I had 2 really busy weeks, and then I was so excited to have like time off to create and catch up. And I have all these old papers I've been trying to go through, but instead I got sick and I've had to just rest and relax. And I tried to push through that and it didn't work because then I felt even sicker. So, so yeah, just learn from my experience. My guides always say that I'm not the best listener. I am, but I'm not. I have to get the message sometimes a lot. Some messages I'm more easily able to integrate than others. But just take your time, act as if you're walking on ice, and move through each moment, agreement, and step in that purposeful, intentional, and conscious state. Because as we retrain every thought, every moment, and every belief of our life, it takes consciousness, because we function so automatically that this is how we need to navigate. And anything extreme, anything intense that occurs, know that it's happening for our highest good, not because we're in trouble. There's a metaphor, there's a message, and with presence, we can literally navigate anything. The world could shut down, the power grids could go down, and as long as we're present, we connect to our communities, our neighbors, everything will always be provided for us. So I just want to leave you with that in case the ice, the cold, or the storms have been making you feel a little bit uneasy, as I had been processing this past week. So I love you all so much. Thank you for listening. See you again maybe tomorrow in my next prophetic dream. Bye.